Hey, what's up, guys? John here. Dave Ramsey just came out and said that this is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. This is the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years. Normally I fully agree with a lot of what Dave Ramsey represents. Live debt-free, be very responsible, live within your means, be a forward-thinking American, be very, very smart and strategic with how you spend your money and where you spend your money. I agree with a lot of it. I think it's very, we live in a society today where people overextend themselves and try to keep up with the Joneses, and he's against that, and so am I. So I agree with him on this. However, this one show that he just did, saying that this is the best time to buy a house, I think could be the worst advice that he's ever given. And I think, unfortunately, that this is going to lead his cult-like following off cliff's edge. Here's what's going on really in the housing market. His whole premise behind this is that there's a housing shortage. And with this housing shortage, supply and demand are going to dictate price. So there's less supply and there's going to be high demand. And so prices are likely going to continue to rise. And so you might as well lock in the rate today. And then if rates end up dropping down the road, then you can always refinance it. Here's exactly what he said. So first, Dave Ramsey, financial guru, in a recent show, the best time to buy a house in the next 5 years is right now. 5 years from today, houses are going to be more expensive. They're as cheap as they're going to be. This is the best price you're going to get to buy that home. If interest rates rise, then you can refi. So basically, if rates drop down the road, you can refinance it. Here's what he's missing. So he believes that right now there's this housing shortage. But what people aren't realizing is that birth rates are down and we have a massive baby boomer generation of 76 million Americans. So 76 million Americans right now and 44.6% of them are homeowners, right? So if you look at what America is right now, we have 33,896,000 of these retirees that are, stepping into this situation of 140 million homes. It's 24% of all homes in America are held by a retiree, right? 24% of all homes in America are held by retirees. And now 40% of them are relying solely on Social Security. So what does this mean? We're in this inflationary environment where a lot of these retirees are being pushed into a corner, high gas prices, high food prices, high health insurance costs. Everything is so much more expensive than most anticipated on retiring on. And what is going to happen? These retirees, these baby boomers are going to be pushed into a corner, right? And so what's ultimately going to happen? There's going to be more people forced to sell their homes going down, down the road. And as interest rates rise, people are going to say, okay, I can get a second mortgage, or I can do this or do that. But they're going to pay what? 6.5%, 7%, 8%, 9% on that second mortgage? They're not going to do it. Most of them are not going to do it. What I think they're going to end up doing is selling their property. And then what we see next is we have this alarming statistic that 46% of current jobs are going to be fully automated by 2030, right? 46%. And so as of right now, they are saying that this list is going to include cashiers, secretaries, administrative assistants, legal, medical, and executives, right? Executive secretaries, executive administrative assistants, first line supervisors of retail stores, miscellaneous tellers. I mean, all these jobs, office clerks, bookkeepers, shipping and receiving, retail salespeople, data entry, key players, all these jobs, right? So 46% of the entire country is going to be laid off in the next 7 years. Right? In the next 7 years. And right now, I mean, it sounds very futuristic, like it's not going to happen. Sam's Club to get 24/7 deliveries from fleet of self-driving trucks in Texas. This is last week, right? Autonomous trucking company Plus drives faster transition to semi-autonomous trucks, right? Uber and Waymo fought in court over self-driving trucks. Now they're teaming up. What we're going to see over the next, I would say couple years, when Dave Ramsey says the next 5 years is going to be the best time to buy now over the next 5 years, we're going to have so many retirees forced to sell their properties. We're going to see so many people lose their jobs. We're seeing inflation going through the roof, and we're seeing wages die, right? Wages are not keeping up. Right now, property taxes are increasing across the board. Last week, you do some quick homework, you're going to see, actually I'll pin it in the notes for you below. There's so many locations across the country that are now increasing property taxes. Right now, home insurance cancellations, Louisiana, Florida, all these different locations are all increasing their insurance costs or their outright canceling policies. So if you have less insurance companies available to issue policies, then what's ultimately going to happen is prices are going to rise because there's less competition in the space, right? All of which are not really great for homeowners. As of right now, they see CPI, the Consumer Price Index, is 8.6%. You know, a lot of people would probably say it's closer to 15 or 20% real inflation, but 8.6%. The wage growth is 3.4%. So what does that mean? That means that the average American, if this information is correct, lost 5.2%. 5.2% of their purchasing power, of their wages. They basically were forced into a wage reduction of 5.2%, right? Then what we're seeing right now is adjustable rate mortgage demand doubles as interest rates hit the highest since 2009. So what's going to happen here? These people are getting into these mortgages, banking on interest rates being lower in the future. So what's ultimately going to happen? In 5 years or 7 years, as time progresses, more and more people are likely going to get priced out of their homes if rates do not drop, right? If rates continue to rise, they're going to be in big trouble. And it's not just, you know, a small percentage. They're saying that about 1 in 4 mortgages sold right now are unadjustable. 1 out of 4, right? As of right now, U.S. foreclosures uptick in May. California, Florida, Texas had the greatest number of foreclosure starts. According to Adam, May's 2022 U.S. foreclosure market report, there was a total of 30,881 properties with foreclosure filings, default notices, scheduled auctions, or bank repossessions, up 1% from a month ago, but up 185% from a year ago, right? Okay. Environmental Group, and this all comes together. Environmental Group blocks Biden over Environmental Groups sue Biden to block 3,500 oil and gas drilling permits. So what is this going to mean? We all know, that we are transitioning off fossil fuels. He said it many times. So if gas prices are going to continue to skyrocket, that means utility bills are going to continue to skyrocket. That means that everything is going to get more expensive that gets shipped and distributed in trucks, which generally is going to mean the small businesses that generally own single-family homes, they're going to have higher costs. They're going to push these costs onto consumers. It means consumers across the board are going to have higher prices. So if someone buys a property today, even if they qualify for the mortgage, they're going to step into this situation and they're going to be walking uphill because everything's just going to get more expensive, whether it be homeowner insurance, property taxes, everyday life, utility bills, everything. Everything is going to get more expensive, and the job market is going to start to change. Now, what I think is ultimately going to happen in the job market, I think over the next year to 2 years to 3 years, we're going to see more businesses try to outsource as much work as possible overseas. And the reason being is that our cost of living here is too high. You have to pay someone $25, $30, $35 an hour, and even then they're not that excited about the work just because the everyday cost of living in America is so expensive. Whereas you can outsource this work overseas and pay someone a fraction of the cost, and they are excited to take the work. We're seeing so many people leaving their jobs. What I think is going to happen is I think opportunity is going to be leaving America, and the cost to live here is going to be through the roof. And so what I think is ultimately going to be the long-term plan here is universal basic income. This is what I think is ultimately going to be the play over the next 3 to 5 years. I think we're going to start to really step into this. And how is this whole thing going to play out? Well, universal basic income, for example, guaranteed basic income would ease poverty but require higher taxes spending. This is in Toronto Sun. This is what is likely going to happen. As more people get pushed out of work, as more people are in this position to where they have no way to provide for themselves, then a universal basic income would likely require higher taxes, meaning it's going to be more and more challenging for people to make it. So when Dave Ramsey goes and says that now is the best time to buy a property, I respect Dave Ramsey. I think he's a very smart individual. However, I think he's living in a different era. During his generation, it was a much easier time. It was a better time, a better America, in my opinion. Things were, not what they are today. Today, things are, you have to really anticipate the curveballs because they are coming at us so quickly. And I think Dave Ramsey's missing a lot of them in his former show. But be cautious. If you're going to buy a property, make sure you're buying it. You could really afford it. Make sure if the living cost increased 10, 15, 20, 30, 50%, you could still afford your property. And really make sure that you're not going to get an adjustable rate mortgage. If you have to get an adjustable rate mortgage to get the property, I personally wouldn't get the property because you don't want to roll the dice on your future, right? If we're stepping into this situation, there's going to be more and more people forced to sell properties as the world gets more challenging. We're in a debt-ridden society right now, and I think this debt bubble is going to pop, and you don't want it to pop on you. What do you think about this entire situation? Drop your comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe. You're also subscribed on my second YouTube channel. It's going to be an interactive call-in show, kind of like Dave Ramsey, a call-in show coming up this upcoming week, and LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok up in the banner. And If you need help improving your credit score, you want to get started on YouTube, or you want to invest in real estate when the market crashes, cashnow.video. I'll catch you guys in the next one.